Beautiful. Well, I'm so happy to be back. It's been a few weeks away. We've had some incredible leaders come in and join for the Clarity coaching call. We're going to continue with a little bit of that as well, because I think it's so beautiful to hear from different leadership. There are so many incredible people in this business who have just such a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and information to share. And we're just so blessed to be part of that, right? So let's just close our eyes down for a moment. Ground your feet in the earth, on the ground. You can have palms facing up in receiving mode, or you can be in giving mode to yourself, whether your hand is on your heart space, maybe a hand on your womb space. Just drop those shoulders down. Actively just release any tension that you may be feeling in your energy or your physical body right now in this moment. I want you to take a deep breath in through the nose, breathing in peace, love, joy, presence. And as you exhale, just exhale out any tension, stress, worry, frustration that you might have been feeling in your morning up until this point. And deep breath in, breathing in love, presence, oneness with every woman on this call. And deep sigh out. As you breathe in, I want you to set an intention for your day, for this call, and how you're going to move forward beyond this call in your day. What intention will you set? What energy will you set in motion? What is it that you want to feel more of today? Do you want to feel more love? Do you want to feel more fun? Do you want to feel a little bit more swagger in that boss babe energy? Whatever that is, set the intention that you are going to lead that within yourself and within your environment. You are going to bring that you want to feel. And take one more deep breath as you just immerse and bathe in that energy. And as you sigh out, just bring yourself back to this space. If you want to take a moment just to write that intention down, hopefully you have a journal or your workbook in front of you. Just make that little note for that intention. Maybe you'll have a sticky note and you'll set that intention around the house, however that feels good to you, to remind yourself of your commitment for the day. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping. Today was meant to be the last installment of our 3 bonus transmissions for our NHC program. So those of you who are joining us who are outside the calls to our community. So next week's call is going to be the health call. Everyone is welcome to jump on board with that call. We're going to be talking to a few of our health coaches, and we're going to be talking around our best tips for getting great results with the products. So it's going to be an incredible call for customers as well as team. So definitely stay tuned for that. Another announcement that I want to make that is coming up. If you who loved the gender intelligence call, I've had so much feedback from that. And in fact, I'd love to kick off today's call to hear if anyone has had any wins in applying that knowledge or any major breakthroughs. Minor shifts create major breakthroughs, right? So the ripple effect of that can be really immense. So hold that thought for a moment if you want to share. If you missed that call, the call is around understanding our biology as a woman and how to hack our hormones once you understand them rather than resisting what is, how to hack what is in order to get the most out of business and relationship with yourself and with the people around you. So if someone can grab the recording of that, maybe in the Empowered group, and post the link here for anyone who missed it, be great as a precursor for you to listen to that call. Because in about 3 weeks' time, I'm going to be doing a similar workshop and presentation. You guys have had a little taster of this, the people who've been on this call for a while now, where we talked about cycle mapping. And I did create a little workbook for those of you who were on that call. I've extended that workbook and I've created a new presentation around that where I'm going to delve into that deeper. So that's something to be excited about. Now, for those of you who haven't really been a part of these calls for long, you might think, what is this fluffy stuff like, and, you know, cringe cycle mapping. But I promise you, when you really understand the cycles of your body, you're able to flow with them with greater ease. You have greater awareness and you become much more empowered in how you show up. And this is game changer stuff. When I learned to master this, I really did become much more efficient at mastering myself in business, as well as how I handle myself in relationships. So get excited for that. I can't wait to share that call with you also. I believe it'll be the week after the health hacks, but I'm also going to do that in tune with my cycle. So I will get back to you with a date on that one. All right, so I've got some cool stuff that I want us to go into today. We're going to do some work together. Please, thank you, Ebony. She's popped the link there for the gender intelligence call. Please copy that now if you weren't on that call. Before we dive into some work together, please make sure that you have a journal handy and a pen or a couple of different colored pens if you like to do things pretty. But before we kick off, let's celebrate some wins. So I want to know in the chat if you want to share some wins that you've had in the last week. And I would love a couple of you who are vulnerable enough to share some of the insights that you've had, and maybe not just from the gender intelligence call, but I know you had Anthony and Kimberly, and I've heard and seen all of the incredible feedback from those calls also. So remember, when you share, you pave the way for others. So who would love to share today? And if you've got something you want to celebrate in the chat, please do that also. Let me change to gallery view. All right. Who's going to be willing to go first?
I'll go.
Amazing. Thank you.
So I think listening to all of the things that you shared about like masculine and feminine, like I've realized how much I've been living in my masculine energy for a long time. And just having to be the leader, the alpha, all of that in our home is so draining all the time. And the last few weeks, and I guess being part of these calls for some time now, you know, you don't even know why I'm getting emotional about it. It's happy tears. Anyway, I think you can hear a lot of stuff and you get off the call, and then it doesn't necessarily, the awareness is there, but the action isn't being taken. So anyway, now I'm bawling. Wow. I was so happy when I got on this call. I've just let myself soften over the last few weeks and just surrendered and let my husband lead in the way that wouldn't be the way I lead, and just being okay with it not being perfect and being in control. And it's had a really profound effect on the energy in our home. I still go and redo some things, but the way that he is showing up for me without me even having to ask or pre-frame or anything, there's been a definite shift. And I'm probably not being very clear with any of it, but no one else was sharing. So
no, I think this is very powerful, and this is the thing, right? And this is what we understand, that our shift creates a ripple effect. And so often, if we're not getting what we want in relationships or in business or how we feel within ourselves, what we can control is creating the shift within ourselves. We can't control what other people do. We can't control what our customers do or our followers do or what our partners do, but we can control how we show up. And if we're willing to go first, then that shift creates a shift in the people around us. And it doesn't matter who I work with. And, this is so true in relationships, as you're sharing, is that if you're willing to go first, the power of that is absolutely incredible. And also for women, it's that, we've been trained that surrender is weakness, vulnerability is weakness. Don't ever be vulnerable, be in the driver's seat. But in fact, surrender is one of the most powerful energies for a woman, especially in a relationship with a masculine man. And it's magnetizing when we can lean into that. But it's a retraining, because in this, and we're all pretty much on this call from similar generations, we have been coded to be in control. And so for most of us, it's a retraining of, I guess it's more a consciousness of when you can surrender control and when control serves you, because it serves you in certain areas. It serves you to show up sometimes in your masculine energy in business. But then when you've been, and interestingly as well, mother energy is masculine. It's not feminine. So most of us are mothers on this call, and we're in mothering energy all day and do, and go. And it's that consciousness of, you said the word softening, and I had goosebumps when you said that word, because the most magnetic women are soft and graceful, and that is their strength. That is their power, right? We don't need to be hard in order to be strong. It actually takes more strength to soften, I think, than it does to harden. You also reminded me, Ebony, I'll give an example so people understand what you're saying, is that releasing of control. My beautiful Gina, our housekeeper, she came in when I was in the bathroom the other day, and we both like things just so. Like, you guys have, many of you have seen my home. I like it to be pretty. Danny is wildly the opposite. He could not care less. In fact, he thinks that any place is a good place for pretty much everything, whereas everything for me has a particular place. And so quite often he'll leave, this blue freaking esky is like, when I look out at our view, if we've had like a weekend of, people over, that esky could sit there for 3 weeks, and I'm having twitches inside because my beautiful view, there's a freaking blue esky in front of it. Like, but he doesn't care. He's like, it's the perfect spot for an esky. So she came in one day and she said to me, I don't know how I don't know how you do it. Like, these towels aren't matching, and like, what's wrong with Danny? And like, how do we? And I said, you know what, Gina, I had the same conniption internally last night. But what actually happened was Danny had come in whilst I was in the shower, and he said, baby, I got a towel for you. So he actually went out of his way to do an act of kindness. And even though it was the blue stripy beach towel and not the beautiful pink towel that matches the beautiful gray towel that it's meant to go in the bathroom, right? How many of us would have been like, that's the wrong towel, instead of, thank you so much, babe. And then I left it there. And I said to Gina, okay, so we know this is his nature, and I'm not going to reprimand him when he's done a beautiful thing. So how about we stack 2 extra towels on the basket, so that he knows if he wants to replace the towel, that's his 2 options, right? We set him up for success to like reinforce the positive behavior and guide it without telling him we're guiding it. Right? And this is a really silly example, right? But it's how often do we do this to our children, our team members, our partners? They've done something, but they didn't do it how we perceive is the truth all the way, right? And there's never one truth. There's never one way. There's just a way, a truth, our version. And so like that soften, that surrender, that release of control, or even, sometimes if you know that it's just not going to get done the way that you like it, just doing it yourself and not complaining about it, because you're the ones with the high standards or the way of wanting it done in a certain way. So I love that you've had this beautiful awareness and awakening, and you'll just continue to soften into it and feel into it. And, it's powerful. Once you know, you can't unknow, right?
Yeah. Letting go of the point scoring has helped too.
So share a little bit more on that. How is that coming up for you, and how is that kind of transformed now?
I think like maybe in our house, I'll be fully transparent, but I am the opposite to my husband. He is that everything has to visually look like he's a tidy minimalist. I'm like a live in my home person until people come over. And then then my home is a showroom. So you're getting to know me a bit better now. But I think the way that we would keep score of how much each other has done, like I'm full-time home with the kids, even though they started kindy in school this year. There's that bit of time for me that I haven't had for nearly 6 years. But he would clean the house and say that he's earned his time, and that he's like, he should be able to go and do this and this. But me being home with the kids is just what I do, and it's there's kind of no banked credit for that. And we would fall very much into that space a lot. So if someone was unhappy, it would come up that I've done this, you've done that, like, and we had a conversation just about how that's just not working, and that we need to accept that we both contribute to the home, and sometimes that will feel equal, other times it won't, but in the end we're all contributing to the overall running of our home without external support. We don't have family here, so it is on us, and it is going to be imbalanced at times depending on what's going on. And letting go of that over the last couple of weeks, and I think being more mindful of, I'm not going to say I don't feel it still, but verbalizing it less has helped.
Yeah, amazing. And again, it comes down to that awareness. You can let go once you understand. And so I might just reiterate a little bit what we're talking about with the points scoring, because I think a lot of people on this call might have missed that. But how, and if you go back and watch the gender intelligence call, you'll understand how this all relates to business also. But how a man scores himself when he goes to work, he's like scoring himself 100 points for going to work. He's scoring himself points for coming home, being faithful. He's scoring himself points for being the provider. Like, he scores himself a lot of points for those things. And so in his mind, how could you possibly not be happy? Look at all of these things that I do for you. I'm the man in this house. Like, how am I still failing at this? And men do not like to fail. And that's when they check out of the relationship. If you're never happy, because when you complain, all he hears is, I'm not happy. Another thing a man cannot do is separate complaints from happiness. To him, they're one and the same. Whereas me, I can be completely happy, but say, Danny, that freaking blue esky is really pissing me off. All he hears is she's not happy. Whereas I'm not, I'm happy. I would be even happier if the blue esky wasn't there, right? It's just different ways that our brains function. And so it's important that men learn to understand to separate complaints and happiness. And it's important that women learn how to communicate in a way that he's not hearing she's never happy, right? Because that will absolutely destroy the relationship, that disconnection piece. And so another thing, that a way that this happens is the point scoring. And I want you to jot this down to notice this today. The way a woman scores points is 1 point for everything. She scores herself 1 point for everything. She scores her partner 1 point for everything. He goes to work, 1 point. He comes home and he was faithful for the day, 1 point, right? Essentially, most men are scoring 2 points every day. If he hugs you when he gets in the door, he gets a point, maybe 3 points. This is how a woman scores herself. I got up, I got the kids breakfast and got them ready for school, 1 point. I drove them to school, 1 point. I came home and cleaned the house, 1 point. I showed up in my business, 1 point. I greeted him when he walked through the door and made him feel appreciated for the day, 1 point. I made him dinner, 1 point. I cleaned up after dinner, 1 point. I got the kids from school, 1 point. I put them to bed, 1 point, right? You are like maxing out the point, and he's failing in comparison every day, because every act of service is only 1 point. He thinks, I bought her $1 million house, I never have to score another point ever again. Like, that's 1 million points. He only gets 1 point in your mind for doing that, right? So the challenge there is, I guess, as a woman, becoming more aware of his contribution, and also learning together, I guess, the energy equation of each other's contribution, which Ebony just shared. It is hard for men to understand the juggle of women and how much we multitask and how much we get done, and that equal contribution at times. And the problem with the point scoring, when you're constantly scoring yourself more points, is resentment builds. And resentment is a killer of passion. And going back to the gender intelligence call, the way to bring down oxytocin is high. You cannot feel resentment. So the point scoring doesn't become such a big equation in your relationship and a disconnector, right? So it's your responsibility to keep the oxytocin high, and also help him understand that you're happy, but here's a few things that he can do to help you feel happier. Right? So for example, I've had to be more hands-on with the kids, but I also run a business. And so this week has been more of a juggle for me. Danny's been at work all day, but he came home, he put petrol in my car. Like, he went and picked up my daughter from dancing. Like, there's these little things that massively fill up my love tank, keeps us, like, it feels like an equal energy exchange in our relationship. It keeps my oxytocin high. It keeps me, in that loving, flowing, feminine state, whilst doing all these masculine things of mothering and doing business. So yeah, the point scoring is super, super interesting. And the best way of, I guess, having these conversations with your partner is doing it in a fully resourced, playful mode. Not you've scored no points, my love tank is empty, you're failing, and you're just in this really disconnected, unhappy state. It's when you're both connected and you can be playful with it and have a laugh about it, right? How we do this to each other. Because the second you start keeping score in your relationship, that's where the disconnection begins to build. So amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Ebony, those beautiful insights. And it's really nice to see the unfolding of that magic as well from these calls. So thank you for going first as well, being a leader in this group. Thanks, babe. Anybody else want to share before we dive into today's topic? Any other big awakenings or aha moments? Maybe you've just had one.
I'll jump on, Kira.
Thank you. Nikita, let me find you. Go for it.
I'm trying to find somewhere that's not windy, that you still got service out here. So I have been on these calls from like day one, and I get little things all the time, and I resonate with Sean's story of being in the masculine for so long. And I'm a mum of 5 children, and we have numerous businesses and farms. So we work, and I had not taken time for myself. I didn't know who I was lost. So now I've come through all of these things, but then, I'm married to my husband, and I sort of felt that we were sort of coming apart because exactly that, the scoring system of he's not doing this, or, I'm not achieving his goals because he works away a lot. Because he's away, I have to step into both roles. I can't have that break every day. So I've had a few discussions with him, but it's allowed me to be more open, more vulnerable, but to not go back within myself when these things have come up. I've been able to have that strength and understanding of it's not just me, and there's not something wrong with me. But I've actually done, that's actually just who I am, and to lean into that.
I love that. And not just there's nothing wrong with you, but also understanding there's nothing wrong with him. Like that, like women are this way and men are that way. And it's not to say that there's different versions and crossovers of that, but just understanding how we function in relationships and in business, And like you said, leaning into that and using it as a strength, because what we resist persists. And the more we resist what is innately who we are, the more we feel frustrated and challenged. And I especially had that experience in beating myself up and not understanding my nature. And now that I understand it, and same with relationships, I can use it as my strength.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. I love that. And so is it helping you to connect more?
Yes, we connect a lot more, and we had lost the ability of just chatting in a free, open manner that we began our relationship with. And we are now able to speak a bit more freely. There is still hostile moments, but I'm able to catch those points quicker and reconnect with myself and do the understanding of who he is, and that something there has upset him or something is upsetting me, so that I can then rain check on that and, you know, go back to that discussion later instead of pursuing it at that point.
Yes, that inner pause. So powerful. I love that. And, you know, it's funny, on Monday, I had some, some internal dialogue that was causing me so much grief. And I noticed, remember how we had that session talking about compounding emotions and what emotions do we choose to compound every day, right? And so I spent the entire morning and my entire walk compounding this feeling to the point of rage. Like I was raging on the inside and I was fueling it. And it was just multiplying. And I was looking for all the evidence to support this story that I had going on in my head. And then I got back to the car and I just took a deep breath and I'm like, okay, what else could be true here? Because right now I'm looking at a version of the truth. And then I started to look for all the evidence to support that the opposite could be true, that the opposite intention was there. And I just completely flipped my emotional state within minutes and brought myself back to a loving, connected state. Because my way, my truth, my experience isn't the truth, the way, the experience. It's a version. And when you can step outside of yourself and see all perspectives, all experiences, like you just shared, Nikita, your husband will have a different experience to you. If he's upset, it's because he's perceived something a certain way. It may not have been your intention, but it doesn't negate your responsibility to be able to hold another person's experience. It doesn't make them right for sharing it, but it makes you connected for being able to hold each other's experience without personalizing it, rejecting it, or rejecting their truth. And that's how you build connection and enhance communication, for being able to see each other and just accept what is instead of continuing to resist, which makes the fight persist.
One of the things that came up was when we were stepping into that feminine role, and I've never really been one that painted my nails. So I loved French nail tips and those sorts of things. I just loved them, but I've never really had my nails done except for our wedding, so, you know, years ago. And I've got two little daughters who are now 5 and 4, and, you know, they are quite girly girls and they like to get in their dresses. But because I've always been in a masculine role and I was raised by my father, I didn't really step into that. So I brought out the nail polish, and I know they love that, and we did that together. And my husband had a flying comment of, how did he say it? Doing nails brings back bad memories. And I personally hadn't thought of, you know, that he's got some preconceived ideas or something has happened that has upset him. So, you know, that's little work that he has to do, but it's something that I am mindful of so that I can make him feel comfortable that our children aren't going to do whatever has happened to him in the past. And it wasn't just that stepping into there as our relationship as a family, it's allowing him to connect with his family as well. And then on another topic I've been able to see, so I was raised by my father, as I just said, so my mum and I never really connected well. She still isn't on the same path that I'd like her to be, but that is her life and her journey. And from me just sharing a few little things with her. She actually came to me yesterday and said, I actually want to know what you're doing around mindset and these sorts of things, because I really need to do something, and love herself. And I like that vibe is not just going through me and my family, but it's ongoing to my mum and my friends around me as well. So it's been a huge shift for us.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. You just gave me one little teaching point, which I might wrap a bow around this with. But thank you for your vulnerability, and really, really powerful. And I love seeing your transformation.
Thank you for letting me share today.
Thank you. So Nikita just, sorry, let me change the spotlight. She just brought up something really, really powerful, and I'll share an example of how this played out in my world this week. But being able to see people when people speak, being able to translate what they really mean. So often in relationships, and this happens in business as well, if we have a really reactive team member, being able to see through the reaction for what it is that they're really saying. So, for example, we are navigating different dynamics with a blended family. And so Danny's children have come from an experience where they've never been together with their mum and dad in the same home. So their norm is to have Danny's attention all to themselves. They're the center of the world. Whereas my children have had the opposite experience, where they've, experienced a home dynamic, a mother and a father invested in each other, and then that downpouring of investment into them. They're used to sharing time. And the way that plays out for the children is really different. One of Danny's children are having difficulties with behavior and things happening at school. And so he's getting a lot of assistance and support. We've got someone coming into our home helping him. Like, it's been a really beautiful, like, connective time. And there's a lot of empathy and support for him. And the way he expresses trauma is a real soft way that is appealing, I guess, as a parent to support. Now, when he does certain behaviors, I'm able to have the empathy and the compassion that is needed to see through the behavior, to come in and give him that guidance and support with love, rather than telling him off, yelling at him for the actual behavior, and then there being no evolution and growth through that. Now, Madeline, my beautiful Madeline, she's such a replica of me, and it's probably why I can see through her behavior so clearly. But the way that she sometimes interacts with Danny is a playing hard to get, and it comes across as rude, but it's her way of A, testing is she loved, and B, getting attention. It's like flirting with him, but it's like, punch the boys and make them cry and they'll like you. It's kind of that energy. And so sometimes the way that can translate to Danny is, as a parent, you feel disrespected. And so you want to parent the disrespect. And so what we've had to navigate is the different parenting styles that both children need is actually seeing their behavior, but translating the behavior. She's actually not disrespecting him. She's actually trying to bond with him. And we support Chase and his behavior challenges that are so loud and so obvious that it's easy for us to facilitate. Okay, there's some things going on with the behavior. We need to check that. We need to get some guidance. Whereas Maddie's are more subtle and easier to miss. And so she was getting in more trouble, I guess, and getting less support. But once we've just been able to step back and actually look at it and translate what this behavior is, we're able to offer that compassion. And so Nikita gave that beautiful example of, like, her husband had a reactive response to something that felt innocent to her. And rather than getting defensive, which is what we often do as women, is reacting and biting straight back, there was that inner pause to go, hang on a minute, this is an trauma experience of his past that is resurfacing. So rather than looking at the behavior that's resurfaced, it's going deeper and, actually being able to have that inner pause and choosing how you're going to respond, and responding with love and, and acknowledging what his experience is, rather than I should be able to do this. And, you know, it's creates more love and connection and enhances communication. And this is really powerful in business as well. You'll find that you'll be working with many different types of people from many walks of life. And some will be highly sensitive, some will be highly reactive, some will be highly resourceful, some will be highly emotional. You're going to have the broad spectrum, and being able to step back and have inner pause and really choose your responses mindfully and looking for what the truth is in what people are saying. It takes the charge out of it. It takes the personalization out of it. You know, Maddie, like now Danny doesn't personalize, oh, she's being rude to me. No, she's not. She's actually trying to connect with me and love me, right? And so it totally changes the energy space that you're showing up with. Okay, so let's dive into the work. I want to share my screen. Please have your, actually, let's have a quick chat first. So what I want to use this session for is we're a little bit less than 2 months out of conference. It's the beginning of the new month. We've got some incredible things on the table that you can run for coming into conference that is just going to expand the celebration and experience for you. And I really want to set your mindset and your possibility up for what's on the table, and you consciously having clarity over choosing what it is that you want to achieve before conference. What you focus on expands. If you have no focus, then not much is going to happen. But when you truly decide and choose, then you know how to show up, and then you get to hold the reward. You get to experience the rewards. So I really want you to consciously choose who you're going to be over the next 2 months, what you're going to cultivate within yourself, okay? What exactly you want to achieve. I'm going to make a suggestion. You can try it on. It doesn't have to be your goal. And even if you absolutely cannot make it to conference, I want you to stay on and do this exercise, and you get to choose exactly what you're going to focus on for the next 2 months. I'm going to suggest that the non-negotiable is the re-promote challenge. I would love to have as many people as possible on this call at the luncheon that you're going to be invited to. If you re-promote between now and conference. I believe the dates are the 25th of May to the 25th of July are the dates that you have to get your points for senior partner plus 1 team member to do your re-promote in order to be invited to this luncheon, okay? You may have other goals that you've already negotiated with your upline and chosen around club levels, and qualifying your business obviously is another non-negotiable. And so you can also focus on those, okay? Now, coming into conference, I know that some of you are feeling that resistance in just that belief and connection, because we've had like 2 years of COVID where we've felt so disconnected as a community. There hasn't been travel going on. We haven't had a lot of face-to-face interaction. And so for some of you, that can really feel like that this, I guess, desire to lean into shrinking, right? And not being seen. Now, remember, what is our scale of self-mastery and ascension is the more you are seen, the more success you create. You cannot create success without being seen. So I encourage you to set an intention of really stepping into that version of yourself who is willing to be seen, who is willing to do the hard things in spite of how you feel on the day, in spite of how you feel about it right now. I can tell you as an introvert, every conference stretches my innate set point of, you know what, it would just be comfortable to stay at home, right? Every conference, still to this day. Now, do I have the skills to like have fun and show up excitedly? And I am looking forward to it. But if I just stayed in my comfort zone, I probably wouldn't come, right? Because I'm an introvert. So it's stepping into that version of you in order to become and create what it is that you want to create. So I really want you to stretch your mind on that and stretch yourself. I spoke to Kimberly this morning, and by the way, how incredible. Kimberly just won the DSA Franchisee of the Year award. Now, what that means is the best of the best in the entire industry, not the best of the award, which is so phenomenal. And what is even more phenomenal is her servant heart driven leadership went straight to just expressing what this means as a company and as a community, and that this represents the company and the community, and we are all a part of that, right? So coming to conference, you get to be a part of that team winning vibration. And we calibrate with the energy that we surround ourselves with. When we surround ourselves with winners, we're a part of that energy. We rise as they rise. That's one of the reasons why conference is so important. Come and calibrate with our energy, right? With the leadership energy. Come to the senior partner, re-promote, luncheon. Come to all of the special events that are on the table and calibrate with the energy that is in the room. It is incredible what we can achieve together. That energy of connecting in person, there is nothing like it. So what we're going to do is a journal practice right now together. I'm going to take you through the practice. For those of you who have the workbook, who are in my team, you have this in your workbook, but I'm going to share screen. So feel free to screenshot so that you can use this practice. Give me one moment. Okay. Can you guys see that okay? Ebony, I can only see you. You've got that? Yeah, awesome. All right, so this is the practice. Expand yourself and your thinking and support your growth and evolution towards your desired future. This is clarity coaching. My job, my purpose, my goal is to help you get clear every week of what your next step is. What we give our energy to flourishes. Too often we spend time dwelling in our problems rather than our possibilities. How many of you are already thinking of all the reasons why conference will be hard, or all the reasons why you can't promote to senior partner? This practice is problems to possibility. Practicing regularly creates new positive connections in your brain, habitually rewiring you for beautiful states of creation. When you practice this again and again, your natural default is a thinker of problems, solutions rather than problems and challenges. And that is what builds momentum for success. Possibility field together today. The practice, your journal practice, is going to be one of your most empowering rituals this year in helping you uncover your inner wisdom, bring to life your desires, and lean into your greatest possibility. To master our life, we first must master our minds. The only reason why your business isn't where you may perhaps desire it to be right now is a mastering of the mind. The quantum field, where any reality is possible, knows no barriers. It is only our inner world that limits our creative potential. Warning: if you use this practice towards you, are you ready? A word to self-sabotaging pattern comparison and doubt that some of you are thinking right now in this moment, and silencing the inner critic where you think, but I'm not her, I'm not one of those people. Becoming is a journey of a lifetime. Life is about growth and evolution over a lifetime. This is about understanding that where you're at right now, ladies, is exactly where you're supposed to be, surrendering to that, being grateful for that, whilst being excited for where you're going. Okay, it's not about beating yourself up and judging. It is not one big defining moment that changes our lives. It is small moments, micro shifts and decisions that take time and hindsight to see the ripple effect that truly transform us and our world. Stop waiting for the big one moment to feel or be different. Stop waiting for validation. Trust your becoming. You are on the journey of becoming today. Today, you choose the path, the frequency, the focus, the subtle shift into alignment with love and your soul's purpose. Show up, let go, trust. You got this. Evolution is happening with or without you. Choose your path consciously. The future is exciting. Who's excited for the next couple of months and what we can achieve together? Right? Let's get excited as a team, as a sisterhood. So how to, morning, night, or anytime you feel called. We're going to go through this today, but I want you to continue using this practice towards this goal that you want to achieve and any other goals that you may have. The quantum knows no time, only your consciousness. We've become so focused on the work of building our business that we forget that the work starts within our being. Harnessing the power of your mind, dwelling in your joy, your gratitude, your desire, and your possibility, that is where the work begins. Each time you sit down to practice, relish in the knowledge, you are setting forth creation magic in motion. So we first must feel. As you practice, this is a feminine creative power to feel. Feel into the words that grace your page. Breathe energy into your devotions. Feel your body, your heart, the grounding of the earth beneath you. Self-govern. Train your mind for expansive self-awareness. Befriend your light and your shadow parts. Understand the balance and important place they both hold in beliefs, those that serve and those that are ready for evolution. It's okay. You're going to have the noise for all the reasons why you can't. The excuses are going to rise. Own that shadow part of yourself. Understand that that part of you is as much a gift as the light, but shine an awareness to your light so that you can transmute your thoughts for evolution. Lean in. Your intuition is one of your greatest powers as a woman. Trust your gut and allow yourself to be guided by your inner wisdom. And then set forth creation. Your affirmations, desires, and beliefs used daily will become. So too will you create pathways for your manifestations to materialize into this world. Now, if this language doesn't serve you, we're just talking about goals. We're just talking about creating the life we want. Right? So if I ever use language, if you don't like the fluffy language, just translate it into language that helps you receive the message. Okay. All right. So what does the practice look like? And we're going to do this together now. So please grab your journals or your workbooks, wherever you want to record this. So first of all, I want you to choose a vision, and you're going to come back and work on this more after the call. So don't worry about getting it perfect right now. But I want you to have clarity over your vision between now and conference. What is it that you want to achieve? Helping your team. Is it rising into your next level of leadership? Is it being self-qualified? What does that look like? Now, if you have no idea, if you're still learning, then you get to go to your leadership after this call to get clarity on this together. That's what we're here for, right? We're here to help you win. So notice if you're already wanting to give up, or whether the expanded version of yourself is in the driver's seat. So what is your vision? In your team, you're bringing to conference, the community and connection you're going to create, the kind of energy you're going to have as a team. Just jot down some notes as it comes up. I'm conscious of time, so I'm just going to move through these quickly. The next is, and so my vision is, let your vision grow and evolve as you do, and think about your most current vision that feels inspiring and in alignment. I want you to focus on conference with this. You can apply this to other goals outside of this call. Self to desire. Why do you want that vision to manifest? Why does the universe want it through you. It may be in service to others, and it is okay if it's in service to you. It's okay if that re-promote means that you get to be in the room with leaders that you desire to calibrate with, that you want to rise up to and move forward with. It's okay if the money makes a difference in your life right now, that you're okay, you're allowed to desire that. And it's a fuel is inspiring others. Right now, my fuel is the sense of responsibility to see them stretch into every corner of their possibility, to stretch themselves so that they propel themselves forward into the potential that they were born for. And I know that for some of you, it feels like pressure when I say, let's go for this, let's re-promote to senior partner. But I know that as a leader, my biggest responsibility is hold the vision of what is possible for you and encourage you to expand yourself, not to sit in the comfort zone and hold your hand. That is not serving you. It may feel good to you, but it doesn't serve you. So what is your why? What is your ask? Ask the universe to support and guide you, because you are not meant to do it alone. Divine grace lives inside of you. So for example, what this might look like is, my ask is that my path be clear and magnetizing, and my ways of being reflective on the empowerment I receive in this space. My ways of being, as in the way I show up, is reflective of the empowerment I receive in this space. So be and I become. So what is your ask? Energetically. These questions are very powerful. The magic of the quantum is tapping into the future, where it's already created. When you drop in, relax and arrive, because it's already done. So if I knew it had already happened, I would let that feeling of being fruitful run my day. If you knew it had already happened, how would you show up, right? Would you be leaning into all the bullshit beliefs that you're not good enough? Absolutely not, right? What kind of energy would be running your day? The woman who knows that she's powerful, that's who would be running the day. I would show up confident in my offerings, focused on service, and my mind would be free of doubt and filled with inspiration and fun. Your mind would be free of doubt. Ebony, is my connection okay? Yeah, okay. I just couldn't see you moving for a second. I'm keeping an eye on you that I haven't frozen. Just do a little wiggle every now and then for me. No, I'm kidding. Okay. If I wasn't concerned with the stress about how it is a detour from magic, let go of the how and continue leaning in day after day with what's in front of you, and it will happen. My rise to success, I was focused forwards, not backwards, forwards, right? So if I wasn't concerned with how, what would you do? Well, I would relax. I would trust. I'd follow my joy and excitement. Remember, the more joy you follow in this space, the more joy you create, the more fun you have, the more success you will create also. I'd feel excited to take each step, right? Because I'd be knowing that it was leading to my desires. You'd be excited to pick up the call to call that customer. It changes everything. I would stay in my own lane and know the universe has my back. I'd stop comparing, which cripples you, comparison. Getting out of my own way looks like we sabotage ourselves on the daily with addictions, habits, and fears. Living quantumly means seeing your blind spots and resurrecting yourself out of the victim seat that keeps you small. How often do you choose the victim over victor? You get in your own way, you create your own barriers, all of the bullshit reasons why you specifically can't. Every other woman can, but there's just some reason why you're the only person on the planet that can't, because you're so special, right? So getting out of my own way looks like, for example, showing up on social media even when I feel resistance, attending training even when I feel tired, making my excuses my reason why, staying focused on the vision no matter what, being a no matter what woman, not a as long as woman. The version of me who has it. How does she behave, dress, love? How does she eat? How does she move her body? What is she a yes for? What boundaries does she hold? Be before you become. I did a post this morning. I created this businesswoman. I became her. And that's what created success. Not success, then I have me who has this, who can hold this. She nourishes her mind and body every day. She celebrates herself, her community, and life every day. She says yes to opportunities for growth. She doesn't hide from them. She jumps at the chance for growth. She feels worthy and she knows her future is exciting. I release. What can I let go of right now? For example, I release the attachment to my inner. What do you need to release in order to make this happen? I replace it. What do you want in place of what you just let go of? The truth is, and has always been, I'm a high value woman with endless possibility and opportunities for an exciting future. What is that one-liner? What do you replace? What do you release and what do you replace it with? What is your truth? And then finally, you're going to come up with your affirmation that you're going to read every day between now and conference. Some of you will do this and some of you won't. Choose to be the woman who self-leads, self-governs. Lead yourself. That's what this business is about. Lead yourself, others will follow. Write it on your mirror, write it in your journal, write it on a sticky note on your desk. Remember, the affirmations only work when you feel them in your body. What vibration will you embody? Pick 3 words, claim it, and so it is. I love me. I love my work. I love serving. I am a doorway for abundance flowing into my life. I love money and money loves me. What feels good? If you don't celebrate success and money, it will never celebrate you. Celebrate it here. Have the affirmation that you need. What is the energy you need to expand in order to bring this desired outcome into fruition? Now, I'm just going to click over the example page. If anyone wants to quickly screenshot that so you can go back, you'll have the recording so you can work with this as well. I'll give you a couple more seconds to get a screenshot. Okay, finish off with a couple of things and then we'll finish off with some Q&A. Now, the thing about success is it always comes with polarity. And the more that you as a leader, as a self-led woman can hold polarity, the more likely you will create success, and the greater degree that you can hold polarity, the greater success you will create. This is about being a warrior, right? This is about acting in spite of our moods. And as women, we have fluctuating moods. The way you will access your personal power is I act in spite of my mood. Write that down. It might be one of your affirmations for this. I act in spite of my mood. I am willing to do what feels hard. Because the it factor of success is to be the kind of woman who can hold it all the emotions, all the feelings. When you can hold it all, the degree of feelings, you can have everything you want because you're not fragile when you can hold it all. If your dream is only your dream as long as the kids behave today, as long as my husband does what I tell him to do, as long as the customer says yes, as long as my leader shows up and loves on me every day and makes me feel really important and connected, right? As long as everybody else does their job and the universe aligns perfectly to my mood and everything that I desire, then my dreams will come true. That's not the it factor. You won't be able to hold your dream for long if you're as long as led woman. Because as soon as a challenge arises, you're not flexible to flow with it. What is true strength? Flexibility. Why do they make tall buildings flexible? Because rigidity breaks things. Be a no matter what woman between now and conference and beyond. The way it will refine you and define you will absolutely blow your mind. You will look in the mirror and love who you see when you're a no matter what woman. When you can hold everything, success, failure, fear, excitement, challenge, growth, everything will stretch you. When you can hold everything, everything you hold stretches you. It is your job, like through the next 2 months, there are going to be challenges. There are going to be days you don't feel like it. There's going to be face down moments. It's going to be times where you feel like, how can I possibly do this? I'm not feeling my possibility today. And there's going to be days where you feel on fire. You feel like a rock star. You have a win. You look in the mirror. You love what you see. It's not your job to just, feel challenged or frustrated, right? And it's your job to be able to walk in duality, because, we're allowed to feel the whole spectrum. The whole spectrum matters. Success doesn't feel like success if there's no challenge and hardship. It's not worth celebrating unless we had to become something along the way. That's why it feels successful, right? So many, you're waiting for it to happen, but you don't understand that you wouldn't even know that it had happened if there wasn't a climb, if you didn't have to climb the ladder along the way. Like, there is a whole spectrum of emotions. Some feelings just feel good and some feelings just feel bad, right? Some feel good, some feel bad. But if you're only willing to do what feels good, this is going to limit your life. It's going to limit what you're available for again and again. It cuts off your power. Duality is, you're going to go through some of the most beautiful times, the most flowing times in your leadership, in your business growth, in your lives. And you're going to go through some of the hardest, most challenging times. We've got some beautiful women in our community who have, been reborn into motherhood. And, I've been reading their beautiful posts, and it reminds me of that moment of becoming a mother is the ultimate example of the most exhilarating and the hardest times of our lives all at the same time. How can I feel so much love, just immense, just like expansion, and so much pain and frustration and resistance all at the same time? That's duality. But how magnificent did your life become? How much did your world expand through childbirth, through becoming a mother? The challenge was worth it. Am I right? Was the challenge worth it? It's the same here. You're birthing a new woman. You're birthing this successful identity. And it's going to be some of the most, this business has given me some of the most magnificent times. Apparently it's my 8-year anniversary today, I think. And I've had some of the most incredible, beautiful, defining moments of my lifetime because of this business. And I've had some of the most horrendous times. But my ability to hold the width and breadth of that polarity has allowed me to hold the success that I've created. You're allowed to, in this world where there is so many overwhelmingly sad and crazy things happening externally, we're allowed to feel compassion and sadness. And at the same time, we're allowed to feel hope and joy and gratitude and excitement for our success. You're allowed to feel both. And the better you get at holding both, the bigger your life is going to become. So dare to dream, dare to desire when you do this. Jump all in. Do this as a no matter what woman. Be that warrior. No matter what my mood is, I'm going to show up and make this happen. Make the decision. Who's excited? If you're feeling overwhelmed, transform your focus into excitement. And I want to give you another way of, because words are powerful and we know when we believe our words and when we don't. If your mantra between now and conference is I promise, which by the way, change goal to promise. Promise is much more empowering, right? My goal to be faithful is to be faithful to you versus I promise to be faithful to you. Very different resonance in the body, right? So choose your words mindfully, but make promises to yourself that you can keep. There are things outside of our control that affect whether we can keep our promises. So make promises you can keep. Here's a promise that can feel good between now and conference. I promise to play full out. I promise to expand and stretch into the possibility of my being as a woman. And I'm so excited to see how far I get, where I land in my business for conference. That's a promise you can all keep to yourself. So when you word your promises, word them in ways that your body recognizes and believes. Because as soon as you don't believe it, you've already quit. Beautiful share, Beck. Does anyone have any questions? Has anyone got any challenges arising they want to share? Like anything coming up at all? Jackie, the answer to that is yes. Just having a look at the chat here. Yes, Rachel, I meant to give you a shout out. Kimberly mentioned this. Rachel drove 3 hours on Monday to Sydney to get to the Reconnect tour. But the whole time before getting there, she was thinking, should she even be there? After meeting everyone for the first time, I never felt so inspired. And I have that belonging feeling that I never felt before. And this time 2 years ago, I never would have stepped outside of my comfort zone. I'm so blessed for this amazing community. This is the thing, the more you show up for yourself, like that was a big ask, driving 3 hours, stepping into an environment where you didn't yet know if you felt like you belonged. Like that's a massive giant leap outside your comfort zone. And you had to go through challenge to get there. It wasn't like you just had to walk next door, right? So that was really showing up for yourself and your challenge. And the reward is on the other side of that, right? And that's the success formula. So I just wanted to put a spotlight on you, Rach, because it is truly amazing. Like I know what that feels like to not know how it's going to feel, if it's going to be awkward, like, is this going to be a good experience? Is it worth driving 3 hours? But, you know, just, I don't want to say always, but pretty much always the other side of those moments is just such a beautiful lesson and learning and growth and expansion that feels so freaking good and inspiring. How do you get past the expectation of being in the business for almost 5 years, but not where I thought I would be at this point? Accept that you are where exactly you're meant to be. Surrender that you're where you're meant to be. Be grateful for where you are. And because I guaranteed that you've learned a hell of a lot about yourself and grown so much as a human in those 5 years for being in this space, that it's given you so much, right? Remember, we can validate whatever evidence we look for, and there's always ample and equal evidence on for and against. So choose your focus. Be grateful for where you are whilst being excited for where you're going. That's the manifestation formula. Surrender and gratitude, and then excitement. There is clearly something for you to learn that is your lesson, that is going to define you and refine you into the most incredible leader. because this is an experience of many in this space. It's not quick success. If it was quick success, everybody would do this. Am I right? Like everybody would be here doing this. There's a reason why you're still where you are or where you feel you're at right now. There's a reason why you're in that space. And there's a lesson for you to learn that is going to transform you into the most amazing leader for every woman who follows you, who feels the same way along the journey. Remember, as we self-master and scale our self-mastery, then we scale our business. So I guess it's asking those quality questions, like first of all, being grateful for where you are, because we can never have more until we can hold where we are and what we have. So really just grounding yourself in that knowledge and like truly feeling immense gratitude for that, for everything you have right now. And then get really clear, what leaders can you speak to? Like, what is the link, the missing link right now in order to just scale the next step? That's all I would be focusing on. B to C. What do I need to scale in self-mastery in order to scale my business to that very next step? That's what I would be focusing my energy on. I hope that helps. So Elba, the fear around being able to keep up with what I promise is only make promises. Make a promise that stretches you, but is in the realm of your possibility. Do not make promises that you don't think you can fulfill. You have to get the balance right. It has to cause you to stretch in order to grow. Otherwise, it's not worth promising. But don't make it such a big promise. Like if you said, I promise to be NMD by conference, well, we know that's actually not even possible. Like it's actually not a possibility. Well, it's like nothing's not a possibility, but you know what I'm saying? The likelihood is dramatically not in your favor if that was your promise. So make a promise that it is favorable, that it absolutely is possible, but it is going to stretch you also. For me, it's the overwhelm of knowing where I want to be, but also having the reality. Yes, just wanted to speak into this actually. It's taking a lot of my time, plus showing up in the high vibe, attractive state when I'm tired. The cycle mapping is going to be really good for you, Vicky. Even if you don't have your cycle, for women who have newborns, there's going to be a lot of transferable information. The biggest mantra for a new mum, and you might be like, second, third, fourth time new mum. The biggest mantra is surrender. There is finding the balance between surrendering to your season and then reaching into your potential and possibility in the space of what is, in a way that serves you and your values. So get clear on your boundaries around having a newborn. Get clear on what energy you do have available outside of that, and then get clear on the highest paying activities that you have in that time capacity. It'll evolve and change almost on a daily basis because they grow so rapidly. And for many babies, not all, but for many of them, the schedule, the routine is constantly shifting. So know the moments that you will be able to steal time for your business. Is it when they're sleeping? Is it when you're feeding? Is it like, what is it that feels good to you? Find the balance of no matter what and surrender in accordance to your values. How can you show up? So rather than focusing on the frustration, which women are so good at, and I get it, right? There's this whole part of you that only wants to focus on your newborn. And there's this whole part of you that's excited for the future that you're creating. And you don't want to completely let that vision go. And you want to make sure you're still moving forward. You might be moving a little slower than you were before you gave birth, but you want to be moving forward, right? So you're almost torn into. So, work out like what it is that you give to this space and what you're energetically available for this space also. Get clarity on that, and then know that you're showing up as your best and feel good that you're doing your best. It's only not the best because you're comparing it to something that you think should be. It's the resistance that causes the pain for mothers. The resistance of, I want to be with this child, but I also want to build this business. And then you're resisting the business because of the child. You're resisting this because of that. Like, that's where the pain is. Surrender, have clear boundaries, clear intention of what you will do with your time, clear intention, and then surrender. Pain and friction is only through resistance. Anytime you feel pain, this is another quality thing that I've learned over time. I've created a habit. When I'm feeling restricted, it was like on Monday, right? When I had that rage thing going on. And then I was like, wow, I'm feeling all this resistance. And then I just, okay, I'm feeling all this friction, sorry. And I'm like, well, I'm obviously resisting something, right? And then I surrendered to what I was feeling. Why was I feeling that? Is there the possibility of another truth? For those of you with a manual, you've got the peace prayer. That is always really helpful. Am I willing to see this differently? Only love is real. There is a veil of illusion in front of me because only love is real, right? Any other feeling outside of love is an illusion. Please help me see. I give up my feelings. I'm willing to see this differently. Only love is real. I'm willing to see this differently. I'm feeling resistance. I'm willing to see this differently. All right, we've gone over time again. Thank you. I was so excited to jump back on this morning and connect with all of you. I'll pop the recording up in the pages and the group so you can share with any team that you want to link arms with and really run the conference together. Keep each other accountable. Accountability is so powerful. Accountability in you speaking out your promises to people and them being able to hold you and themselves accountable on the journey. Please finish your journal practice. Utilize the affirmations. The more you playful out, the better result you're going to get. And that's something you do have control over. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing day.